The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is creating innovative business models. Our guest speaker today is Arun Saxena. He is presently a board member at Institute of Product Leadership, Bangalore, and chief mentor at Insights and Directions, a coaching and consulting firm based at Hyderabad. He mentors startups and consults with IT services and software product companies in the area innovation and strategy. Also teaches at leading B schools in the area of product planning and strategy, product innovation and design, business and process agility, IT strategy, and soft skills. Prior to this, Arun headed the Program Management Excellence practice at Microsoft India. His job involved keeping product development teams at the leading edge of engineering practices for designing winning software products. Before joining Microsoft, he was CEO of Ashtec Systems, a leading software product and IT services company. Starting from scratch, he grew the company to $30 million revenue in the year 2000 with presence in India, Middle East, Europe, and USA. The company developed software components and stacks for leading software vendors. Before his entrepreneurial career at Ashtec, he worked for 8 years as a systems engineer at Tata Burrows Limited, a Tata Group company. At TBL, he worked globally, developing information systems for global corporations in the area of manufacturing, finance, and public utilities. He's a recreational golfer and an early-stage investor. So, without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Arun.
Thank you, Aradhana. Good evening, folks, and it's really nice to be here with you guys at TechGig. And it's really very motivating to me that techies like you on this webinar would be interested in business models, which is so far removed from your typical day job. Indeed, business models today crop up frequently in business conversations. Whether you are a startup pitching to a VC or you are an entrepreneur discussing with your business partners, or it's a top executive discussing how to grow and beat the business competition. Business model is center stage. For example, there has been a lot of buzz in recent times about Groupon's business model. All of you know that Groupon did an IPO 2 years back, and at that time they spurned a Google offer of $6 billion. Groupon has over the last 2 years crashed from $17 billion valuation to just under $2.5 billion valuation. And there are a lot of fingers being raised on their business model. Now, as it appears, their business model is not very scalable because it depends so much on the armies of salespeople in every geography they operate in. That is a problem every service company faces. So business models are really important, and if not today, they may come and haunt you in future in the middle of when you're growing. Give you an example. In 2003, Apple introduced the iPod and the iTunes stores, revolutionizing portable entertainment, creating a new market and transforming the company. In just 3 years, the iPod iTunes combination became a nearly 10 billion product, accounting for almost 50% of Apple's revenue. Apple's market cap catapulted from $1 billion in early 2003 to $150 billion by late 2007. This success story is well known. What's less well known is that Apple was not the first to bring digital music players to the market. There were so many of them floating in the market. A lot of non-branded generic ones, and a few branded ones like Rio, which came in 1998. There was something called Cabo 64, which came in 2000. All these products worked well, and many of them were portable and stylish. But why did the iPod rather than all these others succeed? That's the question. Now what Apple did something was far smarter than just take a good technology and wrap it into a snazzy design. It took a good technology and wrapped it in a great business model. Apple's true innovation was to make downloading digital music easy and convenient. To do that, the company built a groundbreaking business model that combined hardware, software, and service. This approach worked like Gillette's famous blades and razors model, if you are aware of. Apple essentially gave away the blades, that is the low margin iTunes music, to lock in purchase of the razor, which is the high margin iPod. That model defined value in a new way and provided game-changing convenience to the consumer. Yet the stories of business model innovation like Apple, iPod, and iTunes are rare, though everybody seems to be talking about it. Several surveys have reported that over 50% of the CEOs worldwide believe that times have come when business model innovation will be more important for success than product or service innovation itself. This means we understand business models well and use them to compete in the market. So what is a business model? So a business model describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. It is far beyond just the product idea which people have. Business model is a set of decisions towards the question, how do we make money in the business? It's about how business makes money. So what are these decisions? And there are, the research has shown that there are 9 critical decisions which you must make, and these decisions are a part of the business model. And let us see what are these 9 decisions. Some of you might be familiar with this diagram. Osterwilder really put together all these 9 decision questions in a nice visual format. So it helps you to really look at them in one shot and relate one to other. So these are 9 things. Out of this, I think the most important is the value proposition. Value proposition is what you are offering to a customer. Let us look at it a little more in detail. We'll look at some of these in detail in the next few minutes. So the most important element, as I said, was a value prop, and it is impossible, as you know, to sell without a clear value proposition to the customer. Customer wants to know what's in it for me, and unless you have defined that clearly, yes, it will be a tough job for you. Often the value prop starts as a very simple realization. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on a Mumbai road on a rainy day. You notice the large number of motor scooters, bicycles, not bicycles, the motorbikes snaking precariously in and out around the cars in the lanes. As you look more closely, you see that most of those scooters are actually carrying whole families, both parents and several children. That's a very common sight in India. For a foreigner, the first thought might be that that's crazy, or that's the way it is in developing countries. People get by as best as they can. For you and me, it is business as usual, right? When Ratan Tata of Tata Group looked out over this scene, he saw a critical job to be done, providing a safe alternative for its scooter families. He understood that the cheapest car available in India costs easily 5 times what a scooter did, and that many of these families could not afford one. Offering an affordable, safer, all-weather alternative for scooter families was a powerful value proposition. one with the potential to reach tens of millions of people who are not yet part of the car buying market. Tata also recognized that Tata Motors' business model could not be used to develop such a product at the needed price point. So what was really, what are the components of value prop? So a good value prop essentially has these 7 components. A value prop is first of all, it's a differentiating promise which you make to a target audience. And this promise has to be supported by reasons to believe, why they should believe you, and it should outweigh all the perceived costs and the risks. So essentially the equation is benefits on the left hand side minus the cost and risk on the right hand side is the value which the customer could get. So essentially to get to this value prop, you have to first define your target market, and that is about segmenting the market. If you can segment the market and fine-tune the group of customers whom you really want to address, then you can customize your offering and really give them a great value. Customers in the market are in they have different needs. All of them are not in the same boat. And you can see that happening right across in different industries. Automobiles, for example. You can also buy a Tata Nano, and at the same time at the other end of the spectrum, you have Rolls-Royce and the Maybachs and so many big expensive cars. So what it goes on to say is that customers have different needs, and you cannot just have one product fitting the needs of so many customers. Another aspect of this is also that customers have different willingness to pay. So you probably would not want to have one product at one price which will be bought by only a set of customers. Some people will find it too expensive and will be ruled out. Another set of customers will find it too not fitting their needs, though they are willing to pay higher amount. So segmenting your target audience is the most important part of a value prop. And of course, the second important part of value prop is that your promise has to be differentiated. How are you superior to competition? So these two are the most important things, and rest of the things are about providing support to your claim that why the customer should believe you. Having said that, I think I would like to just clarify the concept of value before we go further. So what is value? Basically, benefits minus cost is value, and but value is not as simple as that. I mean, value operates at different levels. I would like to illustrate with an example here. Say you have heard of Teflon coated non-stick utensils, the pans and the pots. So pan has a Teflon, which means that food won't stick, which means that it can be a fat-free, oil-free cooking, which means health. So Teflon as a feature in your product can give you multiple values at different levels. And what are these levels of values? If you look at it, food won't stick is more of a functional thing. It's at the basic level. Customers look for functional value. Products help customers do functions that were otherwise not possible to do or were performed inefficiently. At the other level, customers are looking for economic value. If we say fat-free cooking, means I use less oil or no oil, so I save money. So economic value is the next level which the customers are always looking for. In certain situations, they expect products to result in cost savings, revenue enhancements, and such other things. Look at health. Health is an emotional thing. So that's the highest level of value which customers are looking for finally, emotional value. So when you are really thinking of value which your product would provide customer, these are the functional, economic, and emotional values. Are the three levels you got to really think about. Give you another example. So this is an example of FedEx. So a research was being done, so in the research, the researchers went and tried to talk to the administrative assistants in offices who actually send the courier and receive the couriers, right? So our research revealed these questions and the answer. Why do you rate satisfaction so highly for FedEx? They say, hey, on-time delivery. Why is on-time delivery important to you? The recipient knows we are reliable. Why? What's your need to appear reliable to recipients? I'm less worried. Avoid looking bad to the boss. And why is less worry important to you? I value control and peace of mind. So if you actually ask why 5 times, you can actually get to the real core of what value customer is actually looking for. So on the surface it might appear it's functional, but actually at the end of it, in many cases, it's the emotional value which customer really is looking for. So another important part of the overall business model is the profit formula. On one side, you have a customer value prop which is very strong, which will lead to customer buying your product. And on the other side, you have the profit formula, which is revenue minus cost. At the end of the day, any business needs to really make money. So that's the second most important part of a business model. Coming back to the Ratan Tata example, Ratan Tata knew the only way to get families off their scooter and get them into any car of any type would be to break the wealth barrier by drastically decreasing the price of the car. What if I can change the game and make a car for 1 lakh rupees? That's what Tata wondered, right? He wanted a car at a price point which was at that time half the price of the cheapest car available in the market. This, of course, would have very dramatic ramification for the profit formula. I mean, it would require that there should be a significant drop in gross margin. It would require that there should be a radical reduction in the cost structure of the car. And this meant, and Tata knew about this, that to make money, he would have to increase the sales volume dramatically. I mean, with very little margin, he would have to really increase his sales dramatically. But he knew that the target market would be much bigger at 1 lakh rupees, so he was willing to go along with that business model. While on this profit formula thing, I'd like to spend a minute on revenue streams. Generally, people generally think about one-time transactions or sales. But with the same set of customers and with the same product, there are multiple revenue streams are possible. I mean, for example, in the simplest case, when you sell a piece of software or when you sell a PC or a laptop, you have a one-time transaction cost, a sales revenue, and you then have a recurring support revenue. So that's a very simplest example. And you can have many more revenue models built around your offering. I mean, usage fee, like a hotel which sells you number of room nights, or a telephone operator who sells you number of minutes used, or subscription fee where selling continuous access to a service. So you become a member of the gym and you pay a subscription fee, or you become a member of a Nokia music library, those who use a Nokia phone, and then you get unlimited access to the music. So online content is a typical subscription model, and licensing is another revenue model which people use, where you actually you give permission to people to use a protected intellectual property against license fees. And there's several other, advertising, brokerage, and so on. We'll have a look at some of this very soon. Finally, if you remember that chart, key resources, key partners, and key activities are the other things which are to be taken care of. Basically, key resources are the most important resources and activities required to produce the product or service, right? These resources provide competitive advantage over competition. Therefore, you should not be outsourcing these. I mean, I recently met a startup guy, and he has been, and his idea is a mobile app, and he's outsourcing his mobile app to another vendor, another company, without having right kind of agreements with them. And those agreements would mean that lock in that, okay, this product will be owned by us, who will own the patent and copyright and so on. So you can very easily lose any competitive advantage in such a situation, because that vendor can go and sell the product or use that technology, reuse it in some other product. So key resources should be your what they call core competence. If you're going to outsource it, then you are soon going to lose all the advantage which you would like to have. Okay, for Tata Motors, now let's revisit that example. To fulfill the requirements of its customer value prop and profit formula for the Nano, it had to reconceive how a car is designed, manufactured, and distributed. In fact, they didn't give that job to Tata Motors itself. I mean, within their own organization. Tata built a separate small team of fairly young engineers who would not, like the company's most experienced designer, be influenced and constrained in their thinking about how automobiles were designed. We all are actually a slave to our own past, and so our minds are only doing most of the time delta X thinking. And to break that, Tata actually set up a clean room with a separate team of people who could design things from scratch without any assumptions based on past biases and things. This team dramatically minimized the number of parts in the car, resulting in significant cost saving. Tata also reconceived its supplier strategy, choosing to outsource a remarkable 85% of the nano components and use only 60% fewer vendors than normal to reduce transaction costs and achieve better economies of scale. Okay, so manufacturing of the car was simplified greatly, but Tata actually on the other end of the manufacturing line had a very interesting proposition. He said, hey, let us use a new way of assembling and distributing the car. The ultimate plan was to ship the modular components from the suppliers of the vehicles to a combined network of company-owned and independent entrepreneur-owned assembly plants, which will build them to the order of customer. The Nano will be designed, built, distributed, and serviced in a radically new way, one that could not be accomplished without a new business model. And while the jury is still out on Ratan Tata whether Nano is a success or not, Ratan Tata has definitely solved a lot of traffic safety problems in the process. So that brings us to the next stage, where we want to discuss some strategies to formulate these business models and what are those innovations which are happening around. So let's look at first of them, and that is unbundle. That is unbundle the mix of business models that actually exist. If you actually analyze any business, there are three fundamentally different types of businesses that exist in the market. One is a customer relationship business, second is a product innovation business, and third is an infrastructure business. Okay, any business can be actually broken into these three kinds of businesses within the overall organization. Now, each of these type of activities or businesses has a very different economic, competitive, and cultural imperative. They may coexist in a business, in a single company, But ideally, if you unbundle them into separate entities, you can avoid conflicts and undesirable trade-offs. And I want to illustrate that with an example. This is an example. This is a business model for a telco. Telco as in a mobile phone, mobile communication operator. Okay. Now, if you look at it, their customer segments are installed customer base. Their relationships are of they acquire customers and they want to retain customer. If you look at, they acquire customers through retail channels. Their value prop here is to provide voice, data, and content. Their key partners back here are telecom equipment suppliers. Their key activities are up here: network maintenance, service provisioning, marketing, and their key assets are network, brand, and customer base. How do they make money? They make money here by selling service. So they charge you a service revenue to the customers, and their main costs are network maintenance and marketing. Now, this is actually an example where you will find the three kinds of business model. If you see on the left-hand side, this is all about infrastructure management. Okay. On the right-hand side, this is all about customer relationship management. And all the product innovation is happening in the new voice, data, and content services which are being designed. So product innovation. And in fact, one of the leading mobile service operator, and that is Airtel, they saw it much earlier than anybody else. So in the year 2000, they started unbundling this, and let us see what they did. So look at it, what they have done here. They have unbundled the infrastructure part. What they did is they outsourced the network operation to Ericsson and Nokia Siemens networks, and they outsourced the IT infrastructure to IBM, whole lot, with the people and the operations and the hardware and the software and all the equipment and network. Okay, and that having hived this off, all of this stuff here to those suppliers, they were free to actually focus on their core competency, which was building customer relationship. Now that is required from the point of view that you should be doing what you are best at doing. Now obviously these suppliers, Ericsson and Nokia Siemens network or IBM, they are right into that business. So they have a lot of economies of scale in terms of equipment manufacturing or maintenance or support, and they have the right expertise out there. So by giving it to those guys, Airtel is actually reducing their cost to start with, and they are also freeing their management time to do innovation into what they really need to be doing. So now the business model of Airtel looks something like this, right? So all this stuff in the key activities on network maintenance, operation, and everything is gone, and all the stuff around here in key resources on the network infrastructure is gone. All that has folded into network operators right here. So this is a way by unbundling their business model, Airtel has actually innovated, and they have become a low-cost supplier of mobile services, so to say. Yeah, so let me just switch to the next slide before I can go ahead. So this is how, um, similarly, Airtel does not develop their own content, right? Now, content development is a little more creative process, which unlike Airtel, customer acquisition or customer relationship building, which requires very different kind of talent. So here the content development is also with other vendors, so to say, and they do a better job of doing innovation in content development because it requires very different skill sets and very different set of resources. So telcos work with multiple third-party content vendors who assure a constant supply of new technologies, new services, and media content such as mapping, games, video, music, and things like that. So the key point here is that look at your own business model, how you are going to make money, identify what are your core competencies, and where you are not adding much value, and farm that out to best of breed suppliers and vendors, and that will give you a lot more freedom to really innovate in the area of your core competence. Let's look at another kind of business model now. It's called long tail business model. Now, long tail is a concept of understanding how online and offline come together. Internet is changing our behavior with respect to both selling and also shopping and buying. This idea was developed by a guy called Chris Anderson, who actually wrote a book on this entire concept. So I'm going to give you a few key ideas from his book. So let's start by looking at this picture here. And in this picture, there is a head and there is a long tail. So on the horizontal axis, let us say we are putting products, and on the vertical axis we are putting product popularity. So how does this work? Okay, so product could be anything. I mean, a company may be selling diapers, so they're selling 20 kinds of diapers. So there are 20 kinds of diapers listed on the product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or it could be even something like a downloadable product from internet. Or it could be something as simple as the number of people who follow somebody on Twitter, right? So it could be anything here. Now, what sense do we make out of this chart? So let us use an example here, Amazon. Okay, now Amazon is selling books. Now, if you go to their website, you could possibly they have possibly 5 million books available for sale. I don't know the exact number, but it's a huge number of the 5 million variety. Okay, now that number is very, very much bigger than number of physical books you will find in a physical bookstore like a Barnes and Noble or somebody else around, where you may find just about 30,000 books. So they are carrying 5 million books. How does it make them do it as compared to any retail bookstore? That's a big question. Okay, that question aside, now let us imagine that in Amazon the top selling book is, say, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Okay, people seem to like Harry Potter, so let's imagine that's the top book, and way down, so that book is very popular, so it is in the head of this particular graphics. And now suppose there is another book who's say a book called Gardening in Hyderabad. So I'm sitting in Hyderabad, so I'm just giving that example. And that book's rank is say 3.9 million. Okay, very obscure book. Nobody really asks for it. Once in a blue moon, somebody asks for it. So it is lying somewhere down right into the tail in the yellow portion, somewhere there. So the idea of long tail is that products that are way out of the orange area, red area to the right are so unpopular or so niche or so slow to turn over that it just wouldn't make sense for you and I to have a physical bookstore to sell them. You know, you will buy a book, store it, keep it in your store, and you may sell it 1 in 15 years kind of a thing. So physical bookstores will not keep such books. That's the idea. The products on the head or on the other hand, those are the ones that we would want to stock because if we had a physical store, because those are the ones that are going to sell the most. We all want to, as a seller, want to stock items which will sell the most, not items which will sell rarely, right? So that's the distinction between the head and the tail. And the key idea of the long tail is that internet makes it possible for us to have access to all those products in the tail. Now, going back to the gardening example, if I had a physical store in Hyderabad in one physical locality where there are 100,000 people living and that demand for that book is 1 in a million, if I buy a book and stock it, it will probably get wasted one fine day. But on the internet, because the market expands so much, I mean, Amazon caters to the global market. So they can definitely afford to stock few of those rare books because they are addressing a very aggregated, huge market. So that's the beauty of internet. I think we are all aware of that. Okay. So internet actually changes the economics of distribution and economics of sales, and that's why they are able to offer on internet. The retailers are able to offer much more variety than ever before. In fact, apart from the digital goods, I mean music and e-books and so on and so forth, this phenomena of long tail is also applied to physical goods sold from the internet. It could be beer, it could be diapers, flowers, movies, songs, whatever, right? So this is in short what the internet impact is on how people buy and sell things, and why people are able to buy obscure products or niche products on internet. There's a study done by MIT on this. Now, what is the study saying? What they said is that they were studying a large retail company, and they said they studied their sales data, and they found that the company was selling through 2 different channels. They were selling through internet, and they were also selling through a catalog. Okay, both the channels offered exactly identical products at the same price. So what did they find? They found that the product sales were more evenly distributed on the internet channel compared to catalog channel. What does that mean? If you are familiar with the 80-20 rule, which says that 80% of the revenue will come from 20% of the products, or 80% of the revenue will come from 20% of the customers, kind of a thing. In the catalog channel, that 80-20 rule was found to be quite valid. Most people bought a fewer set of very popular products. But on the internet, they found that only 50% of the people bought those very popular products. Rest 50% bought whole lot of other stuff which was not very popular. In that sense, internet was creating a long tail of customers where a large number of products were bought in small quantities each. Okay, so internet allows you to do that. give you a real live example from Netflix. So what is this example? So on the x-axis, on the horizontal axis, it is the DVD titles which they stock. So 500. So these are number of DVD titles which they stock, and on the vertical axis is the popularity of the DVD. So between 2000 and 2005, the Netflix selection had grown from 4,500 DVDs to 18,000 DVDs. And the effect on the demand of this increase in variety is shown in the chart right here. Top 500 items revenue had dropped from 70% to 50% if you look at this chart. Means that revenue had actually shifted into less popular products. Now you see, if you see the yellow line, the orange line, it's a very, very long line extending to 18,000 products with negligible volume if you look at it. So essentially the tail got longer, and 15% of the demand was coming from items beyond the 3,000 top DVDs if you look at it. Okay, that was about 15% of the revenue. A typical DVD store in real life in a mall or somewhere which you find doesn't store more than 3,000 DVDs. So with the internet, Netflix was able to generate 15% of their demand from items which you will not find anywhere else. That is the beauty of internet-based business model. And that is something which you can exploit. And that 15% in Netflix case actually works out to a substantial billions of dollars actually. The same thing is used by book publishing company. If you know the traditional book publishing model, what is it? So there's a publisher who has a set of very expensive, highly paid editors sitting there and then they have a printing press and things like that. And people who want their book to be published send them their manuscript, and these guys read it, and actually 99% of the manuscripts are rejected in real life because a publisher wants to make sure that publishers' costs are very high because of all these fancy people sitting out there. And they want to make sure that when they publish a book, it will not only make them recover the cost and make the multiple fold of profit. So less promising authors, their titles are rejected because it would be unprofitable to copy, edit, design, print, promote the book because those books will not sell very well. You don't know the unknown authors, right? There are a whole lot of such authors in the market, and there are a whole lot of such musicians in the market who don't get a chance to get their music published from a music publisher as a side example. Now let us look at what this company is doing. This company is called Lulu.com. If you have heard of Lulu.com, this company's business model is very different than the traditional business model. Now what this company does is, they eliminate the traditional entry barriers to by providing authors the tools to craft, print, and distribute their work through an online marketplace. Okay, so they have a platform, and that platform is a software which has all the facilities for someone to enter their book, type their book in, edit it, and put all the graphics and everything themselves, and print it. Okay, and printing is done only when an order is received. So nowadays you have these fancy fast speed new printers which print the book and bind it, and out it comes, like a fresh new book. So there are no print runs, there are no printing of 1,000, 10,000 copies, there are no editors required, everything is automated. Okay, Now this is a new business model which is actually based on the long tail model, because there are niche authors, unknown authors, obscure authors who have a good idea, but they can't sell themselves to the publisher. And of course, there are also niche audiences who are looking for some very, very specific kind of content which may not be available in a bestseller book on the market. So this model takes, it actually leverages the long tail effect, and Lulu.com is really a successful new model, so to say. So let's quickly look into a multi-sided platform, and then we will conclude. So what is a multi-sided platform? It is another kind of business model that has existed from time immemorial, but internet has really accelerated its adoption. What happens here is that normally a merchant is selling to a customer. Now in a multi-sided platform, actually the sponsor of the platform actually brings together two or more distinct but interdependent groups of customers. What I mean by that, let me give you some examples to illustrate this. Now if you look at it as a credit card companies, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, they sell credit cards. Now people will not, the common people will not buy their credit card if their credit card was not usable at merchants. So American Express has to actually not only build their customer base of cardholders, but to be able to do that well, to be able to get a large number of cardholders as their members, they have to actually go and promote it to merchants as well. Because if merchants are not accepting American Express, I can't sell to the cardholder my card or subscription of my card. So this is an example of a two-sided platform where the utility to one set of customers of that platform is directly dependent on the number of customers of the another type on that platform. Same is true about another example is of a Google, which is a very famous example of Google. Now what is Google's business model, guys? Basically, Google's customers are A, the normal people who browse and search, and B, the advertisers who actually advertise on their website. Search is free, so you and me can go and search. Advertisers pay money for advertising, and advertisers come to Google. Why? Because there are a whole lot of people like you and me who are searching. So we are a direct, huge population of potential customers for the advertisers. And why do we go there? Because we get it free. So basically this is the example of a two-sided platform, Google business model, and there are n number of such platforms. If you look at this diagram, so it provides more details on this. Then there is a free as a business model. It's a variant of the platform, two-sided platform. What it means is that I will offer some services or product free to some set of people, customers, and I will I'll earn revenue from another set of people who may be benefited by this first set of people. Now these examples are all very common on the internet. Search is free for people and advertisers pay. But an actual physical newspaper has made this model a success in Stockholm and in several other countries around the world now. They have a newspaper. So these guys, they offer the newspaper for free actually. And in fact, a newspaper which you get in your house, if you get one, is also very cheap if you look at it. Its price does not reflect its cost actually. So how is it happening that we get those newspapers so cheap? Is because the advertisers are paying for making that newspaper available to people. So advertisers are paying for getting access to common people like you and me who might be buying their products. So that's the primary model. And another variation of that is a freemium model. Freemium model means freemium is free plus premium. Some services are offered free and some advanced services are offered at a price, like a Skype. Skype would offer you, if you can make a call from Skype to another Skype customer on their computer, tablet, that is free. But if you want to do a Skype out, which means that you want to make calls to other people's phones, that is a charged service. Okay, so that's an example of what is known as a freemium model, and this model is very popular in software field. You can download a basic version of the software free, but if you want some advanced features, then you go and buy their the main software. It helps in adoption of the software much faster compared to if you had only a paid software, paid for software. LinkedIn is also a freemium model. Now I'll just stop here with one more model. It's called bait and hook. It's a typical, this model is basically about, you bait the customer with a low cost or free offering, and once the customer is hooked, you actually go and make money on the products and services around that particular product. Example is razor blade. The guys would connect to this, that hey, I go and buy the razor is available much cheaper, and then Gillette makes money on the blade, because then you will use multiple blades. Or same is true about, say, mobile phones. Say in US, you can get a Apple iPhone with a 3-year package. So you get an iPhone which is normally about $800, literally free, and then you pay for services by using it, and then the mobile operator makes money out of it. So I think time is up, so I'll stop here, and if you guys have any questions, please go ahead.
Thanks for the insightful presentation, Arun. Let's quickly take up the questions now. I request you to read out the questions and their answers so that all our users may listen to the insights.
Sure.
Are you able to access the questions?
Yeah, I'm accessing the question. So the question is, how do we handle the dependencies of multiple third parties for the supporting pieces of the business model? Okay, so when I mentioned customer value proposition, so that was a value see, everybody in the business is having the question, what's in it for me? So there need to be a value prop not only for the customer. Any partner you are dealing with, you must have a value prop for them as well. And if that is not there, then third parties will not be able to support you in your business model. Another question is here. IT service oriented company business model, how they run their business. So IT service, any service model is based on service being delivered as opposed to a product, and service models are not scalable. I mean, if 5 people are required to deliver an accounting software in one company, one customer place, then you need 10 people to deliver accounting software in 2 customer places, because you are developing customized application. So these business models traditionally have been based on man days and things like that. Of recently, these business models are changing also. In services model, say companies like Infosys or Wipros or TCS's kind of companies, or IBM's, Accenture, now they are moving up. They are saying that, hey, I'm not charging you for providing you the manpower for developing software. I will actually be taking over your process, and I will improve your process efficiency by 10%, and whatever saving you will get, I will take 50% of that saving as my fees. So these are the new kind of business model which IT services companies are now working on. Any book or good website can help me understand all famous business models. So there is this guy called Osterwilder. Okay, Osterwilder has written a book on business model canvas. I mean, I have that display. I am showing you that graphic display of business model canvas. So read that book. That book is really an excellent example of variety of business models and how you think about them, how do you analyze them. What is a suitable model for startups? Okay. So basically, again, depends from the product. Are you in the B2B space? You are in the B2C space. So the kind of business model you will do will vary. And it also depends on the type of product. If you are in an internet, software, media product, or you are into more physical kind of products. So it's difficult to say which is the most suitable model for startups, but definitely startups are most startups I know they are more into product innovation mode. So probably they should base their business model more on product innovation than on customer relationship, because customer relationships take time to build. The product innovation is something which happens with the inspiration and idea and the insights which you have. So go and develop your innovation, differentiate it from competition, do what is known as a disruptive innovation, and offer a part of it as a free thing for people to try and build trust in you, and then offer a paid product over a period of time. So this is how several companies have done. Then yeah, so this is all the questions which are right here.
So we are receiving more questions, Arun.
So
can
folks,
you see them now? Are you able to access the questions?
Yeah, I can see now. I have a big innovative idea which is going to bring a big revolution in India, but my concern is how to proceed so that a specific business model can't be copied by others, or if going to VC for that, how can I be sure that this model is not going to be leaked by him to others, one-sided existing business model. Okay, so there are multiple questions in this. Now, first thing is that having a big innovative idea and which should not be copied. Now actually my experience is that ideas are available everywhere. I mean, I haven't come across somebody who has an idea which is totally unique, totally disruptive. Most ideas are actually based on combination of several past ideas. That's my own understanding of the space. What really matters is the execution, not the idea itself. You may have a now VCs. I mean, here is a mention of a VC. Sachin, who's the? This question is asked by Sachin Prakash, right? Sachin, you mentioned VCs right here. Now, how do VCs decide on whom to fund or not? VCs have a very clear principle. They say, I want a first class team, even if their idea is second class is okay, because I know that first class team can make a second class idea also successful. But I don't want a second class team with a first class idea, because second class team will even make a mess of the first class idea in implementation. This is a principle which many VCs really go by. So think about implementation. If your idea you think is so powerful, you need to have a very quick implementation and rollout, and you need to grow it actually much faster before somebody else copies it, which means that you need to have a very aggressive program for doing that, which also means that you need to have a lot of funding and resources to make that happen. So that's how I'll answer this question. Copying and other stuff which you talk about is can be taken care. You have non-disclosure agreements and other things, legal provisions. Whenever you go to a VC, you first give him the non-disclosure agreement to sign before you actually open up. Okay. What is suitable model for a family-run business and a contract business of building homes? Okay. So it's not really about family-run business or a corporate enterprise business. It's more about, I think, the contract business of building homes. So you are into building homes. So this question is not very clear to me actually. Are you a builder who actually builds apartments and sell them to customer? If that is the case, I'm sure builders are the lucky guys who take money up front and then they build a house, so they don't have a problem there in terms of cash flow. So their business model is an asset transfer model. One could also look at, I mean, you could also build a building and actually rent it out to people, which is a subscription model. So instead of taking $1 million upfront, you can actually take only 50,000 rupees upfront and then recover the rest of it over a period of time. But I don't know why you should do that, because that business has to be studied. Home building business. I have no, I can't answer you on the spot on this.
Arun, due to time constraint,
you were talking about the success.
Yes, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but due to time constraint, I request you to take the unanswered questions offline, which I will share with you through email. So if you would like to sum up this question and the session together, you can do it now, and then we will close the session.
Yeah, so thanks folks for listening to this webinar, and actually this field is quite vast. I have tried to give you a snapshot of it with a few business models. If you have any questions, you can shoot it to, I don't know how you can send those questions to me, but probably TechGig could solve that problem. And do send me your questions, and I'll love to respond to your questions.
Yes, Arun, the link that I have provided, you can log into this page and then post your queries there. Arun, you can go to this page and your webinar page and access the questions and answer them individually if you like.
Okay.
All right. So it was great having you on our show today. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Arun, for all your time. It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arun. Have a great day, a great evening ahead.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.